critical question facing Republicans is whether Donald Trump can get the party's most conservative members behind him and unite the GOP as this campaign season takes an ugly turn. Let's talk about all of this with the founder of The Blaze and nationally syndicated radio host Glenn Beck. Good morning, Glenn.
Good morning. How are you, Allison?
I'm doing well. Always nice to see you. You had obviously supported Ted Cruz. You had campaigned for him on the campaign trail. You had called Donald Trump a pathological, narcissistic sociopath. And I'm wondering where you are today now that he is the GOP's presumptive nominee.
I guess unlike some politicians, I say what I mean and mean what I say. So I'm not suddenly in love with Donald Trump, nor a supporter of Donald Trump.
So where does that leave you, Glenn? I mean, and other conservatives, where does that leave you? Obviously, well, I don't want to speak for you. There's probably Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. So what does that mean for you in November?
I don't know. I am a never Hillary, never Donald. I am not for a progressive politician. And I also find it very difficult to stand behind somebody who doesn't hold the same principles. I can vote for somebody who doesn't necessarily have the same policies, but the same principles are really important to me. But I'm not endorsing anybody. Ted Cruz was the first person ever I've endorsed, so I'm not going to endorse anybody. My vote is my vote, and everybody else can make their own decision. They've done that already, so that's the great thing about America.
Well, you say that Donald Trump doesn't hold the same principles. You know, he says that he is a conservative and that he believes in conservative principles. And here are the people who have come around on him. Former Texas Governor Rick Perry, Governor Bobby Jindal, I mean, both past opponents of his, Senator Orrin Hatch, the key donor, Sheldon Adelson, Senate Majority Whip John Cornyn, Tennessee Senator, whom he met with yesterday, Bob Corker. The list goes on. What do they see that you don't?
I don't know. You'd have to ask them. Here's what I see. I see a guy that I don't believe is trustworthy. I don't believe that he is humble. I don't believe that he actually. I'd be really careful on this because I think at times when he says things, I believe he actually believes what he's saying at the time. But he is, for instance, yesterday we were talking about his stance on guns. He said, and I'm quoting, "I absolutely am not advocating for guns in the classroom, but there are cases where I think there should be guns in the classroom." Well, which is it? I don't know. I think he believes both of those. But that, again, is for the individual to decide. I don't hold it against anybody who, especially the progressives, who believe in big government, who believe in an all-serving state. I don't hold it against them for having a different point of view. I also don't hold it against anybody who just wants to win.
But have you been surprised?
My principles are different.
Glenn, have you been surprised by how quickly the Republican Party or even conservative leaders have seemed to sort of coalesce or at least say that they support Donald Trump now?
I think if anybody said on any angle from any side that they weren't surprised by everything that they have seen in this election, I think they'd be lying to you. I'm surprised daily. Yesterday we were just saying, in a joking fashion, because the first thing, this is going to be a highly entertaining race. The first ad that comes out, he calls Bill Clinton a rapist. And we were joking on the air yesterday, how long before he gets to the list of the people that the Clintons have killed? Well, yesterday he started with Vince Foster. So I have no idea what either side is going to do. I will tell you this, the secret behind Donald Trump, because I've been wrong about Donald Trump every step of the way. I just didn't think that this would work. I just didn't think people would take him seriously. I thought people would have a problem with some of the things that he said, but they haven't. And when you see that the Bernie Sanders people are now saying, a quarter of them in some polls are saying that they will come over to Donald Trump.
Yeah.
It's not about Marxism. It's not about capitalism. It's not about policies. It's about destroying the system that has been lying to us on both sides for as long as I've lived. The parties are completely out of control and completely out of touch. And Hillary Clinton doesn't realize that the game has entirely changed. She's playing the old mainline politician that will say whatever they have to say to get elected. Donald Trump, I think, also says whatever he has to say to get elected, but in a completely different way.
Yeah.
It's not about what he's saying as much as it is how he's saying it.
And just to be clear, Vince Foster committed suicide. There are conspiracy theories. I mean, you know, I know you were using a shorthand.
I'm not. Yeah, and I'm not. We were joking about how long it gets. We've talked about that list of, I don't even know what it is, 40 people that they killed in a joking fashion.
That's the conspiracy
How long would it
theory.
take?
Sure, I get
Right.
it. Glenn, should Donald Trump release his taxes?
Yeah, I think he should, but I don't think he will, and it's not for anything nefarious. I think it is exactly the same thing that happened with his fundraiser for the veterans. He said he raised $6 million. $2.5 million, a fundraiser for veterans, is great. Somehow or another, I don't think he felt that that was big enough for Donald Trump, so he said that it was $6 million. Then they strangely lied about it for months, until they released and said, oh, well, we didn't raise the $6 million. It's only because he inflates numbers to make himself look bigger. And I think the same thing with taxes. It's not anything nefarious, I don't think, going on in his taxes. It's all about he's not as rich as everybody, that he wants everybody to believe he is. Let's say he doesn't have $10 billion. I don't know, he's still successful with $250 million, but not to him.
Glenn Beck, always great to get your perspective. Thanks so much
Thank you
for
very much.
being on New Day. Let's
You
get
bet.
to Chris.